Hello, hi. Thank you for joining my channel again. I have been ill for many days, about 12 days. I have been ill, and I have kind of tried to just stay afloat, keep with the tasks of the day. So, I haven't been in touch. I wanted to make a quick video on depression and anxiety, a little more, some more detail. One of the things that a family could watch for is certain symptoms which are, people get further reticent when the mental health is declining. They don't want to talk to people. They behave very clearly, indicating that they are looking for help. One of the things is they avoid eye contact. So when you approach them, or you don't even need to approach them in a family setting, when you're talking to them, they are kind of looking away or looking into their phone and speaking. And this is a very very clear giveaway. Another is where they try to end the conversation when you're trying to make a conversation with them. So there are monosyllabic responses. Then they are very defensive when you ask them about how their day has been, or what they've been doing with their day, and so how's it going. Something as innocuous as a question like that elicits a very defensive response, or a very curt and way in which they kind of cut off and try to end the conversation, right? So these are certain symptoms that show that mental health is declining. And I have noticed this in other folk, and I have noticed this in myself. However, everyone is not equipped with this kind of awareness where they are able to watch themselves and look for signs of, do I need to fix something? Am I getting anxious? Do I need a walk? Do I need to call a friend? Do I plain need to ask for help? Sometimes you're so depressed, or you're in the middle of an anxiety attack, and you don't know how to ask for help or seek support from anyone around. So you're kind of shutting off your responses, or your brain goes into sort of a standby mode, wherein it does not want to suggest the survival instincts. Even to that extent, the brain gets foggy. So this is something that I wanted to kind of dwell on in terms of how one can help. I have had episodes where I have been severely ill, and someone coming and asking me, "How are you?" Works both ways. Sometimes it is like, oh, so there is someone outside in the world who cares for me and who uh, shows concern. Sometimes I get really, really angry in terms of, what do you mean, how I am? I am ill, So I really want to give them back, big whip whiplash kind of a response, because I'm really ill, right? And I am not processing things like courtesy or being well mannered, and on my good behavior when I'm clearly in need of help. So uh, someone asking how are you is an expression of concern. However, what one could do is, they could perhaps just call and mention that I wanted to bring dinner for you, and when is a good time, something like that, which is very specific, right? Because then the brain processes that, oh, there is someone who is thinking about bringing me food, and do I want that or not want that? And sometimes, most of the time, it is met with rebuttal where the person says no. However, you still, there are very good ways in which you can um, uh, ask for status on the health of a family member, or a friend who is in need of support during a depressive episode, right? There is another way in which you could kind of send a funny meme. You could probably uh, just check on a person in terms of, are they even up to a message response, right? Like things like, I was thinking of going for a walk, would you like to join me? Or would you like to share a few jokes on video? I can call you now. Certain very fundamental, specific asks can help a person understand that you're trying to help. If a person is depressed, they don't want to do anything. None of these suggestions I'm making will actually easily fit in or easily be accepted. And I myself have pushed away people quite a bit. I have pushed away family members, I've pushed away friends. Nothing seems to actually lift me out of that stupor or the sorrow that I have sunken into for whatever reason. It's called the blues for one reason. Actually, it is really fuzzy, and you don't want company at that time. So this is something I wanted to express in terms of I don't ask a person how are you when you know that when symptoms are showing you that that person is really not well. Another way to help a person not in depression but in anxiety is to kind of immediately ground them. So a good thing would be to a bad thing would be to go and hug them, because an anxious person really is in that defense mode and they don't want physical contact. But a good thing perhaps would be to uh, give them a cup of tea, or put on a song which can distract them for some time, something which is very visceral, which is to do with sight or smell or touch, right? Like you could light some incense, or you could open the windows wide and let the wind in. You could kind of take them a blanket. Like earlier I was suggesting, you can go in with an offer of food. Like that, you can probably take fresh linen, and you can offer it to them, saying, this is something I thought you would need. You are looking a little sad. When the person is anxious, I think there are only a few ways in which you can ground them. One is you can give them something cool to drink, something like iced tea, that helps to ground a person. Anything to do with liquid helps to ground a person. You could offer them a pedicure. You could give them a hot towel to wipe their face. You could give them a cold sponge. If it is a very hot day, you could give them a cold sponge sprayed with a little bit of eau. So there are ways in which you can help with liquid, right? You can actually ground that person. Sometimes it helps to give them shells, smooth shells that they can roll around their hand, and so that just the feel of that is very helpful. Sometimes, like I said, play some music which is like a little distracting. Open the windows, or invite them into the kitchen. Could you just watch me? I'm going to make some food, or um, bring something like vegetables to the room that they are in, and then start cutting something which will distract the person, because typically an anxiety attack is where there's a whole rush of cortisol into the system, and the person is unable to handle multiple impulses that are coming in and causing fear. So the muscles clench up, and so there are things like literally your stomach muscles clench up, and you are feeling nauseous, or you're feeling very stiff. So at such times, you could offer a blanket, or you could offer a wet towel, uh, something which will kind of move that person away from their own feelings, right? The things not to do with a person who is anxious is to talk about news that can be like disturbing. Sometimes, oh, did you know there was a water leakage in the building next door? Even something as small as that, they are not ready to handle. They are very very anxious at that time. So go slow on other news chatter. um, so these are two things I wanted to kind of talk about, and I think one other thing that I have myself found is challenges with completion. I tend to procrastinate more when I am in an episode, in a depressive episode. I kind of keep pushing the task to the end of the day, and then somewhere around 9ish in the evening is when the deadline will hit me, and I'll be like, okay, I need to kind of complete this. So procrastination is something which is a very clear sign that perhaps something is not right with you. You're either worrying too much, or you're feeling really sluggish in the sense that you don't want to complete tasks. So that is another clear giveaway in terms of self observation of decline of your mental health. Loss of appetite is another, where you literally start to skip meals. You're like having more beverage, either coffee or tea, or you're kind of having energy drinks and kind of surviving the day. That is a very, very clear giveaway that you're slipping into an episode. So especially given the lockdown times, wanted to be able to put this out so that it could help someone. Please watch out for your closest family and your friends in terms of being there in support. Avoid negative conversations, avoid stressful conversations, um, and kind of prioritize on what is important now, at least, because I think one thing, if the lockdown has taught us, it is the fact that we are all sort of like caged currently, and the world is still running, right? Despite that, everything is running fine, but we are kind of uh, put under virtual lockdown. Immobility has been clamped on us without our buy your leave, so much as a buy your leave, right? So I would say kindness is of a very great priority. If you can help someone in terms of uh, you know holding their hand through an online a calming session or a meditation session, please do that. If you can video call someone and exercise together with them, please do that. That's a lot of fun as well. You could call up a friend when you're cooking and chat them up, so that it's like, it's very relaxing. You really feel there's someone in the house while you're kind of cooking. So that is another way. Online art or paint classes are something else which can bring about that feeling of community while you're isolated. Um, One thing that I really noticed with my lockdown this time is that I'm stuck alone, and there are a lot of people who are probably with family. Please appreciate that. It's very, very, it's a blessing to be with your family members. So I know it can get on your nerves to have other people in the house, and it's like, a little cramped all the time, but that's much, much better than, trying to kind of plan the day in terms of, okay, how are all the family members doing at different parts of the world. And so take it from me, it's good fun to enjoy together family activities. It is getting a little wearisome because of many months of lockdown. However, I thought I would just put this out, and perhaps it could help someone. That's the reason why I'm taking the trouble. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to me. Bye bye.